I'm gonna predict that the CJ's team are gonna try to make things happen with their soldiers, whereas Raf will command his team to be a bit more cautious and patient. I don't really know what's your take on that,
Yeah, I agree that the Frenchies are definitely a more patient team here from what I've seen so far. They like playing really passive, really slow, have the enemy make the move first and they react accordingly. This is what I've been seeing so far, and what I was about to say earlier, which was Azuna's played for them a bit. I talked with him about the team a bit before the stream went live, and he had some problems with their mids quite a bit since he scrimmed Granary with them specifically. He was not happy with how they approached that. He felt like there were a lot of holes they had on the right side of the mids, their perspective, so that's something to look out for if that holds true or if they adapted at any point in the last few days from that. And that he also didn't like the way they pushed out of last. They got rid of their sentry guns pretty quickly and felt like that was vulnerable to being approached with backups and stuff like that. So that's little details that might go a long way if Disney Fangirls can adapt accordingly, but we'll see now.
This is Division 1 lower bracket playoff. Season is powered by STN and Copenhagen Games, and this is the Frenchy team against CJ's team. I'm gonna call them that way. It's gonna be way easier for me. And this is two figures of the community, so people should figure it out. We see the DmMmTm kind of different approach to middle. Raf is playing the far left, while Neon is trying to sit on his choke, waiting for aggression. All guys already on the backline, trying to make something happen to take some vision himself. He's getting cleaned up by two players from PDF who came back to him, and now it looks like the rest of his teammates were not really able to double ball. Oh my god, cooling! And I think that Spilljack completely nuked that choke area, and only Raf now with his medic. Can he leave? Apparently he can, because PDF team's not really that in a chase mood, but that double bomb from the soldier was a complete disaster from Raf's perspective.
Yeah, they just approached this like really aggressively on enemy left side, try to basically take their own, like the enemy side, like you see on many other midpoints. Not so much Granary yet. I think Disney Fangirls.
Oh, the aggression! Oh, the aggression calling. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, that was important. That could have been easily a force. Got the damage, and not quite enough. And nice for Delhi to stay alive there. Nice arrow before as well on the ramp after the chase. And yeah, like I said, the left side mid just didn't work at all. Disney Fangirls just showed them why it's not that common. They just avoided it pretty much, and the entire right side was just completely open to kite any sort of damage. And once the initial aggression was held off onto Garage, like you were excited about, the double bomb came in into choke and just destroyed them completely. But it didn't catch CJ, so at least they played careful around the fact that their medic needed to stay alive after that mid fight on Disney Fangirls. So while they did lose mid and second after that, they will have stability on last with the medic being up.
And we can see already 3 different off classes, with 2 being on the French side with a heavy and a spy. Glastri's in the back line. No, he was just checking. I take that back. But I think that's Eklund who's playing sniper on PDF. He's trying to peek on the left-hand side. He's getting sticked out by Raf. I don't think he has any vision. He's actually trying to put a hero shot maybe. Got denied by some stickies. He has to go back. But yeah, this is basically what Granary Last is now. You kind of have to rely on the hero shot from your off class. This is going to be a sniper right now. Eklund picking on the right side, trying to locate where Delhi is holding, and we can see that the French medic is just by the wall and the fence, trying to negate any sniper sightline. And this is quite, it should work if the rest of his teammates are able to lock down any sort of chokes. And now it's going to be up to Eklund to see how he decides to take that on. He can either try to be really patient and see if the French just get a little bit, you know, uneasy and try to pick a bit aggressively.
Or he goes, just walks in, misses the shot. Ooh. So unfortunate, but it's such a hit on this play, and Glassly has a little bit of a scuffter up top as well, doesn't lead too much. And at this point, it's just a matter of how many risks does Disney Fangirls want to take. They could easily throw more into last, but right now, it's more about the Frenchies trying to make something happen to the second. Olga leads in the charge, wants to just rotate into flank onto calling, gets out just barely, and without that easy kill there, it just wastes a lot of time. Spawns come back in, Eklund's back on Scout on the field as well now, actually waiting back. I see Toast going back into spawn as well, so they might just switch who plays the off-class right now. There we go, Toast on Spy.
I think Toast is a main spy, isn't he? I think I've seen his name in some Highlander games, so I'm pretty sure he's a pretty well-known spy, so maybe he has that trick up his sleeves, and I wouldn't be surprised to see something happen on his end. Eklund went back to the scout class and no off classes anymore. And as I said, of course, Alien makes me lie by playing heavy. So it's now a spy against a heavy. I'm assuming the French players are going to be cautious of that, going to be aware of that spy. Look at Toast, he just knows the map so well, just juking around everywhere so he doesn't get spotted. And now it's going to be up to his team to make him some kind of distraction. So Toast has a really cool, nice window to go to Daily's back. And look at Alien. Alien shot behind him. So they know a spy might be an issue for them.
Yeah, even if you don't check for the spy, the more nothing happens on the last point, the more likely it is that the spy is on the field. So nothing really happens on the French end, and it just makes it so much more obvious that there is something. Nanax checks the corner, finds the spy, calling just so much damage.
The bomb is coming!
A good shot, there it is! The force comes out. It almost looked like this was over for the spy, but they just used it in their advantage.
Yeah, I think it would have worked even without... The way the spy worked was Alien had to watch behind, so he couldn't really deny the soldier. That's why the bomb was effective from calling. The Uber was used, and now it's going to be probably Neon leading that corner. Uber trying to take that point. The Frenchies are trying to take it slowly, try to edge the cap. With the Uber so close to them, they have to be really cautious not to get caught out of position. And look, yeah, they're playing this really back now. They're going back. Nanax is building a gun. They're only at 50% Uber, and CJ will be able to decide where he wants his team to go from. It looks like they want to go right side. It's only Ekenen right now who's getting joined by his demo. They still haven't used the Uber. They're extremely deep. The Uber's finally used onto the gun, but nothing is really done unless Toast is actually capping. Nobody from the French was denying that. They were all hiding either in spawn or trying to go for the back cap. And that was actually extremely smart from Toast. Just he knew he couldn't do anything else but cap, so he just capped in there. That's already a first round, a really clean play. That these last 2 minutes were extremely clean from professional Disney Fangirls.
Yeah, they played really smart, really patient there, and it paid off really well. And the backup kind of didn't work. I feel like it was really discommunicated that they went for the backup there, and it just wasn't blocked on the point at all, which is all they needed there.
Raf is switching his mid up, he's trying to go across point this time, but he's getting well spammed out by the soldiers. The bomb is made from Grasky, he actually airshot CJ, and now can the retaliation come from professional Disney Fangirls? They're trying to bomb onto Delhi. He actually dives. Everybody from the blue team committed on that choke, and once again, I feel like the coordination on Ekelund's teams is extremely well made, because every time they bomb in, it's not one, not two, but three players minimum bombing on the medic, and it worked twice in a row now.
Yeah, and you need these. If your medic just dies early, you need to have this great communication on the force, or just drop a tempo to medic on the mid fight to get the kill immediately, to get the counter frag, and that's exactly what happened. Just everybody knew, well, CJ's dead, let's just get their medic as well, and in the midst of that, they pretty much just won the mid fight outright. Now they want to get even more. Olga is a bit too far forward, gets called out, and it's already falling apart. Draft goes down as well, going so far aggressive onto Garage. Just both players on the French end just baiting themselves. It's a bit too far in. He's still in as well, and he takes a lot of damage. Will get the kill onto Ekelund. Toast on Spy is a bit awkward right now, because they don't actually get second completely for free. Probably meant for just another play onto last immediately. Glassby eventually dies.
That was so weird, because the blue team pushed in, even though they already had Toast on Spy, so they just, I guess, took the ground that the French team gave to them. And kind of a misplay here from Raf, maybe not holding the chokes properly with the help of his soldiers. And yeah, the blue team basically won a 5v6 fight, and they didn't really break a sweat to win this one. So, and to add to that, they probably don't expect a spy now, because why would Toast be on spy when his team was pushing? So it's the element of surprise is maximum here, I believe.
Glassby's and Spawn though checked on spy. They must know. Otherwise, why would you even check off classes in the first place? And yeah, the heavy is just shooting air. Everybody's turning around randomly, so they know there is something. They just don't know where it is.
And they don't want to do the same mistake.
It didn't matter that they knew that it was there. It was successful either way.
The bomb is coming from Calling. The airshot is trying to connect, but they don't really. The spy is not really in position. He's there, so that little lack of coordination here, maybe Toast was just simply cold and couldn't do anything. But yeah, that bomb from Calling was well less successful than first time. And yeah, you mentioned how the spy wasn't really working the first time because the bomb worked anyway. So I don't know. Another bomb coming. The first rocket connects from Billjack, and yeah, that's exactly the issue. Alien is so focused on spy checking that he doesn't really deny the bombing soldiers, and it looks like both Billjack and Calling, they kind of read that situation pretty well, and they know when to bomb in.
but now they want to go a bit more aggressive here. Heavies off the field again, both scouts on the French squad going aggressive over the point. Olga needs a lot of damage, will get taken down for the force coming out. Delhi uses immediately afterwards, but nobody actually wants to commit with that. A huge miscommunication down the French and leads to just a really useless Uber, and it's basically just a free pick on the non-Uber situation to last. Toast is still on Spy, which is weird, but if you can just use
he's trying to go in!
Got in!
He can't get anything, he drew some attention, but he seemed to really take the ground this time, and it should be a reset, and I'm expecting Toast maybe to come back on another cloud, because Spy was not really effective twice in a row now. But yeah, you mentioned that was kind of a weird play on that Uber trade, especially from the French. It didn't really worked out. Karnax died and maybe was sacking, I didn't really catch up. But Alien dies as well, and this is really going south now for the French team, because they're just bleeding for no reason, feeding kills to the blue team, and now the PDF, they're pushing on last. A lot of cap time already, half the cap is already complete, and it's so close now for PDF to take it, and they dry push in that, and that was the correct play, because again, that double feed from Karnax and Alien was extremely questionable. All they had to do was, I mean, in my opinion, try to build a hold on last.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Azunas mentioned to me as well. Like, the hold was just abandoned for the mere hope of making anything happen to second, and the moment that failed, the moment players went down on second, they just had nothing to fall back on anymore, and it was just such a free take for Disney Fangirls here with no scouts denying anything.
Okay, so now Raph needs to find a solution on middle, because this 2 mid in a row now allows for his teams, and the double bomb is doing the exact same job, almost direct to bomb for the medic, and one for the scout. Lack of communication here between Olga and Glassry, and that position from, they got the medic, but they led 3 players for that, and maybe they can clean up 2 now. It's gonna be a 2v2, basically some sort of ulti duo, hybrid mode. I don't think that's gonna work out, because that position again from Delhi and Neon is a bit bad from, that was Alien actually. He somehow leaves.
He's so weak.
And I think he got a bit lucky here that Colin didn't really connect that rocket that he needed to, because Colin got the extremely good position here, just above the head of the combo from French player, and now it's gonna be up to Toast. He's gonna try to go in, he's not called! He got one shot, he can't do anything else. He's gonna try now to play in the backline, try to draw some attention to himself. And now finally in mid is going in the favor of the French players, but this time was a bit lucky, but I mean, you need some luck sometimes to just turn the ties around.
Yeah, I mean, having some luck is basically the entire season at the moment, so they'll take some more of that, but much further than this they won't get with just luck, so now it's a question of how they will approach this. There's a player behind, they don't care.
They think they have that, but Ubers are even, Ubers are being traded now, and I don't think they expected that, because they commit a lot of bodies and a lot of position to do that. Alien dies from flank on Z from Viljack, and yeah, that Uber was really poor, because now Toast is actually back capping on middle. Glassry, can he win that fight? He has to win that MG station right now, otherwise it's going to be a bit tricky for his teams. He's getting help, and Toast finally dives to a soul from Delhi, and that 25% Uber could be actually important at some point, but
so far forwards, the damage is immediately engaged, and he just dies after the saw comes out. 3 kills, just like that, trying to save the medic, way too late. High jumper Glassry goes nowhere. Alien and Olga still around, but only Alien seems to want to commit for this, and just lots and lots of minor mistakes adding up. That's CJ is
1-2 shot CJ!
Get the double man as well, that's huge.
Really well played from Alien, and he kind of salvaged that situation, because right now the French team are completely outplayed in my eyes by professional Disney Fangirls. Every team fights are going in the favor of the blue team, whereas the French can't really do anything. The bomb is coming from Viljack, he tries with Glassry, Rive dives as well, so that's no demo now, because Delhi couldn't really pump the heals forward. It was denied by that soldier, and again, I feel like CJ's team are making the best of really bad situations. They somehow transform things that don't really look good for them in really favorable positions.
Yeah, they just find these small holes on the French place, and I will execute one of that. Gets them the second point despite disadvantage, despite CJ dying on mid. That's just a huge asset right now, and leads to the stalemate not happening anywhere else but on second to last, which saves a lot of time. Viljack tries to make a play on flank, goes down. Still, it's disadvantage, so there's still just so much you can do here. And they give up this point quickly after Viljack died on Spy, and the pop-in comes through Shutter immediately, but at the same time CJ gets his Uber, can use into the face of the Frenchies, just counter that, and they have to leave pretty quickly with the worst Uber. Makes up for the players being down, spawns come in the meantime, and lots of damage being exchanged over the point. Nobody wants to commit deeply, but for Disney Fangirls, this is pretty good. They get Glassby as well on the flank. Toast and Calling team up on that. Everybody's weak on the red team. Takes so much damage to Neon Stickies. It's getting sketchy and sketchy with the flank being open as well. Calling gets another kill onto Olga, and this is just a floodgate. It's open now.
Yeah, and the dry push is coming on the left side of last. The bomb is coming from Viljack. CJ dives straight away, so no heals now for professional Disney Fangirls. Can they keep the heals alive? Like there's a heavy in the hands of Alien, but once, what can he do when he walks that slowly towards the last point? And I think one of the other issues that the French need to fix really quickly is the Uber positioning or Uber trace. I think this is twice now that they think they have the Uber ad and it's not an ad.
Yeah, and it just leads to these awkward situations. The exchange earlier was just immediately putting them at such a huge disadvantage, as you mentioned, and the team fight here over the point as well, like you said, is just immediately going in Disney Fangirls' favor. Just so much more damage. Now, new mid fight, let's see how they approach it.
The Raph is already getting extremely weak, getting well spammed by Viljack. I think it was a bomb is coming from Olga, but he's kind of alone. And look at Neon, just he took the heals left hand side and just walked over the point, walked over the French team. And this is a complete disaster. Only Delhi up alive, and Neon is on the prowl. Neon is thirsty for blood, but I think he can't catch Delhi, and Delhi will have to be careful because everybody except Toast is on the second point already. And again, a really dominant mid fight for CJ and the rest of his teammates.
Yeah, just really nice recognition to where CJ and Neon have safe space to cover over, and everybody else just went aggressive on the other side. Really well done there.
And they're coming in, trying to take position. There's a gun and a sniper, but the Uber is used onto Neon. Cooling died a bit early. Oh, the bomb, the nuke from Neon, but he can't quite get anyone else. And now the Uber is being used by Delhi. And kind of a disaster here for once against professional Disney Fangirls. The Uber didn't really accomplish anything, and they even had to concede the second point as well. Ubers are even, kind of even. There's not DmMmTm yet, so if you're French now, maybe you want to try to go quickly, but I think they're actually doing it. I like it, but the bomb is coming. Someone was hiding on the catwalk. Here, one rocket onto Delhi. Actually, no, that's a 0 damage bomb. That's a bit sad.
Yeah, but everybody wants to contest off of this. They're really aggressive on PDF, and it's getting them good damage. And Delhi gets disconnected from the rest of the team. They are able to clean everything up. Glassby gets the shovel kill. That's not enough unless he hits these rockets, but he does. Neon goes down. DJ goes down. Glassby, safe display for his team.
That was unexpected because this whole situation, basically, professional Disney Fangirls won a fight out of 0 damage bomb from Viljack. That's a bit. That's the space made was just all it took for a professional Disney Fangirl to take the ground, and now they almost tried to get second. They don't really quite get it. An inch was needed to cap it, and now Viljack on the flank against Nanax. Yeah, he dies, he trades, but that's actually all right. Because now there's a threat of the second point being completely capped. It's going to push back the French team. They can't really do anything now. They have to wait for the Uber. They have the ad. They have a 50 ad, so that's a pretty sizable one. But are they aware of that? It looks like they want to try to go out of Z and try to take it deep. Raph bombs in into the ground, but really nicely read by professional Disney Fangirls, and it looks like they will be able to get their own Uber for the midpoint.
And in the meantime, Toast tries to just hold W on the flank, tries to get in through Lunchbox to get the backup, gets spotted early enough. The Frenchies not overextending here fast. They take it slowly, still have this advantage into mid. Use in CJ gets in the meantime though, so it's an exchange once again, and both Uber position is important, but they will have the worst one. And Glassby just jumps into the face of them. Olga was weak in the midst of that, and once he gets spotted, that's 2 down. And again, Pole's Uber position is just not good enough when they have these slightly worse Ubers time-wise.
Viljack was behind and he capped as well, and I think this is the 3rd time now that there was some kind of Uber misread from Delhi and the rest of his team, because I'm pretty sure they thought they had the Uber ad, but maybe CJ is just more proficient when he builds his Uber. The bomb is coming on last from pretty much everyone. They already a lot of count time, and again, this is really well played because they don't care about dumb people. They just know they have the number advantage, and this is enough for them. They don't look for an ace. They just want the cap point, and it's already 4-0.
Yeah, it's really nice how they start playing the point while everybody else, but the Scout are basically shooting the whole combo away from it, so it's just a matter of go forward and die, or do we just let them get the point? And it's such a lose-lose situation that you want the other team to be in. in these last point situations.
And I think Raf needs to be a bit more conservative in the way he plays. I think it's a bit way too aggressive compared to what supports he gets from his team. And once again, he was completely alone. He got destroyed by Neon and the bomb from Billjack. Also cleaned up the medic. So it's now 4v3 in favor of the French. But there's no healers.
Olga wraps around much damage, but Neon gets the sticky. CJ's weak zone. Alien is there to get the kill.
And Nanax is there as well, maybe behind. Yeah, he's behind. He gets one shot onto Toes, gets the frag, gets another one onto Neon. Well played here from the two. I think that was Glassfree as well, who tried to make some space for Alien. I mean, they need that. They need to take down CJ, and they need to be more proficient in their middle. Because look at Rav, he was so aggressive, but he was kind of alone, and he got completely mulched by Neon. So I feel like this is one of the main reasons why professional TS defenders are just ahead. Neon just having a better map than Raf, both individually and within his team composition. So now the Uber is going to be once again, I want to say it's an ad for the French, but we've seen that the ad don't mean much for them because they've kind of blew it until now.
It's going to be interesting. They desperately need anything to come back. 10 minutes is certainly enough time to make it happen, but you need to be proficient. You can't afford to lose too many situations. Olga trades with Billjack. They're calling, still watching flank. Lunchbox got pushed out eventually by a scout, but he survives at least, and it all slows down the French progress here. They will get into second, but CJ almost gets his Uber, so they could go for an exchange if they wanted to, and they will opt to do that. Delhi has to be so late though. Let Ralph take some damage before he uses, so better Uber for the French, and here post-Uber position will again decide
to look at that gun from
rotate out.
There's a gun at the door for Turs, he's gonna maybe... Oh, he can't deny the point because the pillar is in between the point and the gun.
Nobody can fit behind, and that's such a common thing in these sort of Uber situations, in these Uber trades here.
He's like, moving the gun.
Yeah, in Uber trades like this, you want to have somebody go behind, and the gun just denied it completely. At this point, however, he's just feeling a bit too confident, I would say. And Billjack got baited by that as well, wanting to help out the gun. Will die for it. It's an even situation, so it's not too huge a loss, but if the Frenchies feel confident, they might take this, and they have to start playing the point. And Disney Fangirls feel threatened enough to move back. Calling trades once again with Olga. That's 2 down on last. That's pretty sketchy, but huge pipes and sticks, or I should say, by Neon. Gets another kill, gets another one on top of the Carnix, goes down to a pipe. And that just stuffs this dry attempt by the Frenchies immediately.
And I feel like again a little lack of cohesion here because Raf tried to go in, he was alone, so he basically pressed S. But the rest of his teammates pressed W, so you can see how this is not going to work when two people in the team don't really go the same way. Now it's going to be equal Uber, and the French need to make something happen really quickly because yes, it's 9 minutes, that's a lot of time, but they're 4-0 down, so they need to make something happen. They're trying to go in, there's no gun, yeah, we can see the Inji trying to set up a sentry gun. The Ubers are traded now, so it's going to be up to the French to take maybe better positioning. Olga knows about this, he goes behind, he's on the pipe, puts out a lot of aggression onto... Oh, the rocket from Glassfree onto Neon, can't quite get the frag, but does a lot of damage. Alien cleans up the frag, and it's a 4v4 now with a slightly half advantage maybe for the French players. They have more numbers now, they need to take this forward, they need to take the frags. And maybe they're gonna take down Eklund as well, he lives, and now they need to play pawn. It's only 2 players are pro... Oh, the bomb from Calling completely saved that situation. Yes, CJ died, but that's probably better to lose your medic and not lose the round. Can they fight this? They're actually doing this! I can't believe it! Neon is fighting everyone, everybody's staying on the French side. It's only Olga now and the Alien, they're all weak, and they fail!
Wow, that was such a long team fight, but the Frenchies just... Oh no, the jump comes to my class, please!
How?
Everybody went back to spawn to get help, but they just needed to wait for CJ to come their way instead. They get, once again, incredibly lucky, because the team fight started alright. They got the kill to make the number situation 4-3 in their favor. But after that, the focus fire was just falling apart a little bit, and it just took too long. If the spawns were any slower, they might have done it, but the spawns were clutching out for so long. But then, just the small decision to move back instead of standing on the point waiting for CJ to spawn will cost them the round.
Rife trying right side once more, trying to go to that ramp room. The double bombs coming from Glassfree and Olga did a lot of frag, 4 frags, now that's a lot. Everybody died at the same time. That bomb was extremely effective, and Billjack is now the only one up alive in the ramp room, 50 HP. He can't do anything, and that aggression was extremely well played here because they didn't went for Jay this time. They went for Neon, and I think that made, because instead of killing the heals, you killed the good, and this is why I think Raf leave the mid-fight, because there was no one to really deny him, and now the French, they're already taking this straight to last. They have the Uber ad, they don't really want to die to anyone. They're using early, they can't quite frag. Oh, actually, Olga's the first casualty. They trade 2, they get Eklund and CJ, and now they need to play pawn if they can. Raph is trying to stick point. He tried to get this. Neon is fighting this again. 2v1. Raph, can he do it? He's alone against 3 players. It's Raph against the world. They're all weak. Maybe he can get the frags, but no. Vijak dies and poor Cookie's fire here.
Yeah, once again, they did such a job to pick targets well on mid. They got Neon down immediately, but on last, he was just staying alive and put in way too much work. And people that tried to cap were just having a time staying alive there. It made all the difference in the end. And what difference does it make that you can kill the demo on mid? Can't do it on last. Toast goes down early here, trying to get out of second into yard. They get a counter strike with the Carnex. Raph is not here yet, so it makes a big difference for the damage. He spawns just now.
Ekelund is a bit isolated, he's getting cleaned up probably, yeah, and that's not really what you want to look. Yeah, you have no scouts, so it's gonna be a bit tough maybe to fight this position. They probably should go back to last and try to set up a more hold. Wheeljack dies as well, so now it's 3v6, and maybe when you're the French now you just want to leave your scout on cap and try to get some sack onto CJ, because it's only 5 minutes and 40 seconds. They don't have first sacks actually, they're just going in straight away. All guys trying to bomb onto that pipe, he gets denied a bit, and maybe they can play pawn. Raph is actually spawn camping. I don't think that's the correct play here for the French demo man. All guys again, the first one to die on the French side, and this is gonna be really bad now. Alien dies as well. The Uber is awful for the Frenchmen. They have to flash it while it's a single to Ekelund, and they're being pulled back all the way back to yard. Maybe Raph is even gonna die, or maybe it's gonna be Deli. No, both of them survive. Olga being dropped once more onto that fight was really the nail in the coffin for that push.
Yeah, and you mentioned before how the Uber counting on the team is a little bit just slightly off, and they had 10% ad. That isn't much, but they were already on last. They just needed to pop in and jump immediately to get at least one save in an exchange, but they were so hesitant in all of that. Lost Olga and it just didn't go anywhere. Mid gets contested, Alien onto CJ gets the kill. They might just do this, but no, Neon goes to Garage.
Neon is actually denying everything. He It looked like a good situation, but Neon with the pipes completely owned that push, and now it's only him against players. He dies to Neon, and he's gonna be calling and Ekelund trying to deny a bit. They basically, it's almost over. If professional Disney Fangirls are able to basically waste time as much they can, they're gonna take it home, even if it's a 4-3. They don't care about scoreline. I think they just want to take the map. And I think when you're the French now, you just want to dry test. You don't have time to build the Uber if you want to make it a tie. You need to be aggressive now. You need to be more proficient in the way you push last. We can see that hold here from Neon. Just he's actually not sticking the doors. He's just sticking the point. He doesn't care about getting an entry frag. Just trying to deny the cap time. Everybody's going now for the French. The bomb is coming from Glass3. The retaliation is coming from both Villjack and Calling. They can't. Every 3 deaths already. Raph died extremely early once more. I think he was the only one going forward, and that gun behind the tire I think was kind of a bit of a surprise for the French push. And I think that was. There's still enough time, Dom, but do you think they can make it? They look so messy right now.
Yeah, they look so lost on last right now, and the less time there is, the more risks they need to take, and the more of that you'd have to do in a game of TF2, the harder it is to actually make anything happen, because the other team can just play safer and safer and safer until it's just impossible to make any sort of push happen. And right now it got them into a full Uber disset situation, using Glass2 here as well, 2 down, no soldiers to speak of, which they desperately need to at least have a chance to get the Uber out of CJ safely. At this point, they just need to fight this to have any chance, but it needs Deli to be so accessible for everybody. Calling Neon both go onto him, they pop in for that as well. They try to rotate away, actually doing a decent job staying alive there for a while, but they can't do this forever. Will get chased down into choke, will go down Olga, the last man standing here after this fight, will get cleaned up by both scouts, and it's looking like a lost cause for the Frenchies now.
Yeah, in France we say in this time that they need 3 high-speed trains round to make it a tie, but I don't think it can happen at 3 minutes. Not even 3 minutes, 2 minutes 40 seconds. It's gonna be pretty much up to Disney Fangirls to even try to make the scoreline any bigger. Both cards are pushing left side. They completely mouse onto Carnax. Only Ekelund dies, but Glass3 dies as well. He was trying to get some aggression going, trying some bomb. And now it's gonna be up to Neon. Look at Neon just big dicking onto Raph. He doesn't care, he doesn't have the heals, he doesn't care about this. Trying to take the duel. He wins it actually, and he leaves to the bomb from Olga. That's completely a unit here from Neon, and now it's gonna be another round, and that play from Neon against Raph, Olga, and the medic completely highlights how that game went. The confidence from Neon was out of this world.
Yeah, just making all the difference here. 2 minutes left for a little bit of that time, and the Frenchies can't lose the motivation now. They force a tough loss here. 5-1 is a big scoreline for Disney Fangirls to take it, and it's not even over yet. It could end 6-1 or 5-2 possibly, but you can't lose your focus now. You can't get too unoptimistic about the next game going forward here.
And Neon is on the sticky jumper, is on the catwalks trying to drop on the combo, and he doesn't really manage to do any damage. But yeah, you mentioned the French, they need to stay in that game, all gap bombs onto Toast. Blast actually killed it doesn't mean much, they're not going to take that map, but that little DM session onto mid is probably gonna do. Ooh, the air shot is coming as well. So yeah, they need all the help they can get right now, and I think the DM session is gonna be. They need to free their minds, forget about this map. There's another one coming, and I feel like the end was a bit better. Like the last 10 minutes were better for the Frenchmen. Maybe it identified what was wrong in the first 20 minutes, especially in their Uber read. Maybe that's why they need to work on. That's what they need to work on, but. Without being, I'm not only going to talk about the friendship because I mean Neon was completely crazy this map. I feel like, and
yeah, definitely.
It was the cornerstone of that win in my eyes for professional Disney Fangirls.
Yeah, we want to know. Let's talk about the specific demo and just playing this sort of tank role in the center of the team, like you usually see a lot more often in the sticky nerf days with the demo center team. These days it's more so scout, but they definitely play a lot more of the classic style, and Neon is just enabling that so well with the confidence he shows in his playstyle.
And so maybe this is going to be a little of a stretch here, but I'm not surprised to see that double bomb from Coling and Viljack working so well, because if I'm not wrong, and you will tell me if I'm wrong, of course, but I think professional Disney Fangirls' best map is Product, a map on which you need your soldiers to be extremely well synced and extremely proficient in the way they jump. And I feel like on this map, I don't know if they manage to do that all the time, but on this Granary, I feel like Coling and Viljack were able to replicate the way they play on Product on Granary.
Possibly. We won't find out how they play on Product today, unfortunately, because that's not something that will happen. So I can't really refute your statement there, but it definitely worked out for them. Their bombs went a long way. Just like the game started, and the double bomb just destroyed the French team right away. So it just goes to show that they certainly have practiced those for a while. Where it took like much longer for Glasstree and Olga to get that sort of stuff going themselves. It happened towards the end of the game, where you mentioned they were improving slowly over the game, but definitely way too slow to make any sort of real comeback happen here in the end.
But it happened, so maybe all they needed was some time to ramp up and actually manage to, sink their bombs. We're gonna take a little look at the logs to see how it went by the numbers on that Granary. And what I'm seeing, so we praised Neon a lot, and when you look at the damage, it doesn't have that much damage compared to Rap, that much more. It's like 500 damage, but I think the main difference is the way he didn't die that much compared to Raf, and that's I think that highlights the way these two teams plays on that map. As Neon got a lot of support from his teammates, whereas Raf, as the main caller, maybe was a bit too aggressive in the way he played and kind of expected his teammates to back him up at all times, whereas that wasn't really the case. And even though Neon doesn't have outstanding damage, but the slight KD difference puts him really way above head and shoulders from Raf.
Yeah, and you mentioned that there were a lot of situations where Raf just played a lot more aggressive, and he probably should have to lead his team, and it shows on a few more stats than just purely damage. He took the most damage in the game, received the most damage, the most heals, I should say, of any player, much more so than Neon as well, who took much less, needed much less heals, and it just goes to show that Neon had just like such an easier time staying alive. 5 less deaths as much as either of the medics, for that matter. And for a 5-1 scoreline, both medics dying like the same amount, that's actually kind of like uncommon, I would say. And yeah, Neon just was so much less pressured, or at least put himself into less situations where he could get pressured easily, where Ralph just had so much more trouble staying alive, and that made all the difference in the world.
And the other line that interests me is the way CJ pumped 30% of the heals onto Ekelund. That's a scout. That means that the way they play really is aggressive. They want to go forward. They want to do it quickly. And I feel like when you heal your scout that much, it's not only because he builds. There's more to that. And I think this is just it just goes to show how the decision in the game, in the plan that professionals, these Fangirls, had going into that game. And the other thing I'm going to mention before going on to that second map is we mentioned how the tides turned a bit momentum-wise, where like the start of the game was really in favor of professional TST Fangirls, but then the Frenchies were able to wake up and actually show off a bit, even though they lost 5-1, and that's the mid. Among the four first mid, 3 went for the professional TST Fangirls, but then the Frenchies were able to win all of them, the rest. So maybe there's hope for them on the second map if they can keep that momentum going. We all know how mids are important to how a game is happening, and winning the middle is giving you an edge on the round no matter what. So maybe if there's a sign here that the wind is gonna blow on the other direction.
Yeah, and you mentioned a few of the mistakes that happen on the French squad, and you need to determine like what went wrong that you can carry over as stuff that isn't map specific into the next game. And a big thing that we mentioned a few times over the last game was the Evo situations, the Evo counting, the Evo exchanges, everything surrounding the Evos was just worse in comparison for Delhi compared to CJ. A lot of that can easily be seen in the logs. We see deaths after charge being 1 compared to none. We see major advantages lost 4, which just goes to show that the Evo counting was just off a lot of the times because the advantage loss was only 33 seconds, which isn't that much, but that's almost an entire Uber basically they gave up right there. And those things just add up over the game, and that coupled with the sketchy exchanges all around that might not even were intended to be exchanges in the first place, it makes such a big difference. And that being said, moving on to the next map, Gullywatch compared to Granary is a comparably slightly faster map. You can obviously make any map slow if you want to, but given how Disney Fangirls played, I don't think it's going to be quite as stalematy as it was, and it wasn't that much to begin with. So these sort of like mistakes surrounding exchanges and stuff like that could be amplified here if they don't fix those quickly.
Yeah, and the other thing that the French players need to fix, we mentioned quite some time now that their focus fire was pretty poor, and the logs on the previous map just showed that, because I think except from Toast, every player from professional TST Fangirls were top fragging. So it was like 4 players and then all the Frenchies. So it probably, and the damage wasn't that different between the two teams. So again, I think the focus fire was pretty poor. We saw some blast pushes that were not really handled really well, because again, not really a focus fire, whereas Olga was peppered down and then died in 2 seconds because of extremely well good focus fire onto a professional TST Fangirls side. So again, another thing they need to work on. And going on Gullywatch, we mentioned how CJ is healing Eklund a lot and trying to make them move their team move quickly, and that's something that Gullywatch can really highlight, because when there's 2 ways to go to second point from middle, and this is actually a really short map. So if you're proficient enough and reactive enough, you can actually be extremely quick and cut players out of position. And I don't know what's your opinion on that, but seeing how they play around their scuds a lot, I wouldn't be surprised to see some players like CJ, Eklund, and maybe someone else trying to go extremely deep from big door when Raf is leaving from choke and try to cut him off.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that either. You said already that it's the small map, probably definitely the smallest map in the 5 CP rotation we have going. I think even historically speaking, it's one of the smallest. So momentum can be huge, and with Eklund leading the charge and Neon right after, it's going to be tough if they don't have good holes. So there's so much for the Frenchies they need to take care of it, both aggressively and defensively, and Disney Fangirls is going to put them to the final challenge if they want to make it into Grands now.
Oh yeah, they're up to the challenge. That's a steep one. This is second map. This is Gullywatch. And we can see already Glass tried to go onto that drop down, trying to go maybe behind. I don't think, yeah, he's been caught, so he dies straight away, and that's already a casualty after 3 seconds of middle. They probably need to go back right now instead of getting wiped. I can see already Nanax tried to be a bit too forward. Olga died as well, and I think that's the correct play to leave straight away, because that attempt from Glassry was alright, and talk about swiftness. Look at them, look at professional TST Fangirls. They're already on their second points.
Yeah, enough time for Raf and Co to rotate up top, but they don't want to contest it. They consider for a second, but they don't want to take the risk without full numbers, seeing as Disney Fangirls is already here. Delhi staying alive is going to be a big factor right now. It's not going to be a free last push by any means, so just clash there on the launch pad a little bit, but Calling will stay alive, and It's a good start.
Bomb is coming from Wheeljack and Cooling. They're actually going to Deli as well, but they can't really hit that last rocket that would have given them the drop. Nice hold here from Deli, and actually really good focus fire here from the holders from the red team, because they actually managed to kill the soldiers pretty quickly. And now there's two soldiers down. Nobody's really holding choke. It's actually a highway to second for the French if they're enough and they are aware of the holds from the professional team fight, because the Uber is being forced by Glassry. Extremely well played here from the French roamer, and if maybe they can salvage that situation. Look at Toast, maybe he's trying to go behind from lobby, is unseen, unscathed, but he can't really hit that shot onto Deli, and now it's going to be a sizable Uber ad for Deli. And if they manage to clean Toast, but he wins that MG fight under point, and actually could throw that plan to window.
Yeah, they actually played this really nicely. You do have two options after a double sack, because the double sack is still holdable if you play according to what the other team is doing from last into second as the holding team. It's just a matter of what they're doing there, and they opted to go for the sack instead of the push. Worked kind of nice, but they let Toast slip through, and that's going to make all the difference. CJ is slowly building this up here, and it just wasted so much time that the scout got behind right now. CJ almost has again. They might want to contest this Toast on Spy. Makes things interesting as the chain comes out straight into second. Uber's used on both sides. Wheeljack goes down for it though. Tough start for Disney Fangirls here. And this time it's them going out.
Toast is going there. He's not seen again. He hasn't been spotted. Maybe Karnax bumped it. He gets a back up onto Deli. I think Karnax bumped into him, but didn't maybe realize it was a spy. And that completely changed things around. Ekelon dies to Glassry, but in the end, can't really to Olga. But in the end, they lost their medic. They have no heals. Toast being side now, maybe it's not the best situation. He killed the medic, but he didn't really commit. And Ruff again. Ruff is oblivious. He bumped into the spy, but maybe he thought it was the wall and didn't realize there was a spy just 1 centimeter away from him. And Toast lives, and that play was really crucial here, because that trade wasn't really good for professional Disney Fangirls, but somehow the salvage play succeeded, and now there's going to be a sizable Uber. I see 2 NGs onto the hands of the French, and yeah, Alien goes back, and they need to set up a really strong hold. And now that Toast is on Spy and they know that he is here, the best he can do is probably maybe either kill the demo or do a point play.
Yeah, the thing that made all the difference there is that despite failing to exchange, they knew what they were doing. They knew the spy was still there. They could fall back to this as long as they play safe and survive, and that's exactly what happened. It means they will have this Uber into last, with the spy still on the field. Makes things interesting. Not opting for the spy point play instead.
That was
trying to go straight on the scout. Spy on the point gets a free kill, but they just lack the sort of damage the scout would provide here. Instead, this will fail.
The Uber from professional Disney Fangirls was pretty much what the French showed us on the previous map. They got in, but they were the first one to have people dying. I think it was both Wheeljack and Calling died in the blink of an eye, so that push went bad really quickly, and somehow Deli didn't die as well. He didn't spawn, and now he's safe with a 100% Uber. Someone is in drop down, that's Wheeljack, and he's trying to go in. Raph doesn't really check the stickies, but Olga was behind, and they were able. And look at that, that's what we mentioned, but we thought that would be professional Disney Fangirls. The Uber is being pushed onto that big door on the scout and the demo. They're trying to go behind and do a scissor play, but oh, Neon and Toes gets 2. They get the flank, and somehow they got outplayed at their own game.
Yeah, the force comes out at the same time while they bust open the flank. On top of that, makes everything so much worse for the Frenchies. Trying to contest this, go in deep, get CJ, but they're stuck in this really awkward fight. 3 now, 2 versus 2. Deli in front of Dion eats some damage. Toast needs to clean this up to make this any better for Disney Fangirls, but Toast can't get the shot in and gets a saw as well on top of that. It was going really well, but it was just too many players left alive at the end of that for the Frenchies.
That was really fun to see that mirror move, basically both teams pushing on the enemy big door, and in the end it worked out pretty okay for the French. They managed to kill CJ, so now they're once more in the commanding position. There's no one onto that. Actually, 2 soldiers were trying to hide, but they didn't bomb. They bombed back. Maybe some kind of miscommunication here, and sizable overhead. I hope the Frenchies now are able to tell when they can push in with the ad. Alien knows what Daisy is trying to go. It gets actually Neon, who was slightly overextending, and that pick is extremely good because now it's a freeway onto last. Only 3 French players are pushing though, so they maybe some beef happening, because I see 2 players contesting, but they both die, and now if they can get the cap actually no, only one died, so they still haven't kept that second point. That play was extremely well made for Toast and Calling, and they delayed so much that CJ will be able to have the Uber.
But they lost so many players, so then they're still not up. Second gets capped before the spawns come in. CJ will get Uber though, and that makes a huge difference. Using the players isn't so bad when they have numbers standing at the end, but they are unable to find the force onto Delhi at the same time. So it's this huge mess in the end where they took a lot of risk. Some of them paid off, but in the end they still find themselves with Uber Disad on last. Gun is getting built, but the push is still coming in either way any moment.
Yeah, Raf is probably gonna lead it. You need a scout with it though. Yeah, the scout is coming, but what are they waiting for? Maybe buff? They're letting the gun getting up. No, they finally used onto that shutter, but that was extremely early Uber use, and I don't think they had to because there were no stickies on point. And now look at them, they can't really do anything with that. Everybody's hiding on spawn. Double score playing point, but the stickies and the scout contesting them. Can they win they win this? But one scout died in that process, and now it's only Neon and CJ. Can CJ get the soul? He can't get it. Raf at sticky on point, and that poor Uber push somehow became a win. I think thanks to Karnax and Alien playing the points.
Yeah, they used pretty early, but despite not necessarily needing to, at least they got some kills with that. The soldier was close trying to get behind, Olga cleaned that up, and they struggled for so long to get on the point. Didn't use the Uber effectively to just get on the point cleanly or get onto Neon, but they were just able to win the fight outright. And if you're just fortunate enough, that's all you need. They go in the lead here the first time this set.
Daly's already half HP, and that double bomb from Olga and Glassry trying to go on a nice rocket from Glassry cleaning up Toast, but Olga died as well in that process. And now look at Neon and Billjack already over the point. It's an unwinnable fight now for the Frenchmen. They have to go. They lost their medic though. It's only Glassry is against Ekelund. It's a scout versus soldier. You basically chat know how it's gonna end up. Glassry is gonna lose it probably because he can't win against the scout. This is the best Glassry in the game. Glassry knows that he falls back to choke and he just goes back. He gives up. That's the white flag here for Glassry on to drop
But
down.
Olga comes in with that on the distraction, and at least they trade with that. Olga getting out safely from that play as well. Has some teams to fall back on Victor, but there's just too many spawners already on mid. And that was really weird. They had Glassry go for the big grab around, and sure, he got 2 kills with that, including the medic, which is huge. But they just didn't play slow enough and just got pushed back into their own choke, falling apart there before Glassry can come in and help them out and pincer them. So just this weird mix of ideas that again just doesn't quite work out for the Frenchies.
And now the Ubers are quite similar. I doubt the French are gonna try to push on that because they beef some Uber ad on the path that bigger Uber ads than this one. This is only a 10%. 15 only, so now they're gonna have to sit back and see what professional Fangirls are gonna throw at them and try to hold that the best can. I don't see any off classes on either lineups, so it's gonna be a really classic cookie cutter push here. I think Calling asking for buffs on the flank, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a play onto that big door. And looks like I'm a man reader because I see Viljack now and CJ actually going onto the big door. Look at that position from Delhi, is up to point. I don't really like that because you can't really hold the choke properly. And Beware, I mean, looks like it's working, but they're giving so much respect with that positioning, I believe. But in the end, respect is due, but nothing really happens. So I don't really know what's in the mind of Ekelund now.
Yeah, this is an interesting game set because we hadn't had Disney Fangirls in the deficit so far, so it's interesting to see how they need to approach this when they're forced to make some moves. And yeah, Toast is making some moves. Wilczek tries to as well, gets the knight quite early, falls back. Ekelund pushes forward when he falls back. Really nice little coordination there to save the soldier's life. Toast
Olga was
in the
behind, he tried to go for a force, but it's probably cleaned up, I believe.
Oh, they don't know where he is, and Neon head is ready and choked now. Just a single one will do the job there. Gets a bit of luck in his favor, but Toast still behind, get eventually spotted by Karnax. They get the counter frag, and this is sketchy because they had to fall back so far on the flank that if not for Olga going down there, they had such a good opportunity actually making stuff happen there. But as it stands, it will stay an even game at the moment, and like I said, Disney Fangirls are forced to make a move here right now. They are forced to break the right
Spy. We've seen quite a bit of that on the first map, so I'm really not surprised to see Spy here, and I hope the Frenchmen they won't be surprised either, because this is really it's pretty easy to read that from Toast. He was behind, he died, so yeah, Spy is not really that far-fetched. And wait, did I say Pokemon name right now? I think I did. And now we can see the combo of professional Disney Fangirls trying to pressure that big door, so maybe Toast can get it in a good position. I don't really see where. Oh, he's actually trying to bait someone, maybe.
Maybe he's baiting himself the sticks in big door
Yeah,
right now. You need to
exactly.
be careful that Raph just doesn't randomly dead. Gets free though just barely. And there was a small moment where Wildjack and Colling were basically shooting sync rockets, and I think Carnix was almost died. Speaking of Wildjack, he just pushes forward out of nowhere. Nobody watching big door closely enough trades for that in the end.
Toast
Gets
can go
Echo
now.
behind.
Toast isn't cloaking, but Deli moved away. Oh, Deli knows you arrowed him once, arrowed him twice, and Toast dies. So that's actually 2 people dying, 3 people, because Ekelund was a bit too forward and got cleaned up by Karnax. And now this is the opportunity the Frenchman needed to push into that last middle point. I mean, there's no Sikis. Rough bombing extremely aggressively and actually tagging CJ. CJ has to get that 1 HP. He was that close from dropping that Uber, and now Deli can just milk all he wants, gets finally forced by calling, but we were this close to a complete disaster.
It's still not that great though, sure, Raph died, but it's still both soldiers down on Disney Fangirls, and it seemed like their best approach onto pushing second, or making anything happen on second, is just by having lots of plays at the same time, using it like every single player as a distraction from the other one. The spy is scout behind, while the soldier is aggressive. None of which worked though in the end. The Frenchies hold stays strong, much more so than on Granary, and Frenchies holding strong there, while Disney Fangirls need some better ideas other than just quantity.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They're not really doing, like, it's just messy basically, but maybe they rely on that mess to mess with the plans of with the hold of the Frenchmen. But other than that, they don't really do anything. And now we see Karnax doing a play of his own, trying to go behind. I think he's been spotted, but funnily enough, they don't really try to look for him, though. Yeah, they actually do. Cooling and Toast were trying to look behind for Karnax. No, 3 players actually, 2 soldiers and a scout. There are 3 people behind for Karnax. Oh, it's just so, like, the coordination here was a bit poor, because the Freshman was just sitting on last, on middle. Well, they had only 3 players to face if they pushed in, so maybe some kind of, again, slight miscommunication, or maybe Karnax just didn't see that 3 players came back for him. That's actually also a possibility. And now we can see Wildjack on sniper and try to go maybe for a nice headshot onto that big door.
Yeah, he used to play scout for the team, so he's certainly known for his hit scan aim, and has shown that in the past few seasons they played. So he's not stranger to the sniper off class here, but at the same time, speaking of off classes, the Frenchies finally pull out one as well, putting out the countryman, the spy on the field. Pretty slow approach by Kanek there, but then again, what else do you expect from a spy trying to make his way behind, but too slow there. Olga eats a shot to the head, will go down to Wildjack, has so much space in choke, doesn't find a second shot, unfortunately.
Karnax, his big door, he failed. Oh no, Karnax feels the stamina to coding. That's really unlucky. I think a slight, we know how the game engine works, and now the whole team of Disney Fangirls is pushing onto that big door. They got a frag onto Glassry, was trying to force, but I think he got headshot straight away and couldn't do anything. And in the end, that's a push onto them, a clean push onto the middle. They didn't force the U, but didn't use, and Wildjack is already aggressive onto that big door. And I don't think the Frenchmen are quite aware that everybody from professional Disney Fangirls is pushing here. And Rap is already rotating, trying to put some sticky to try to deny the push. And nobody's really watching choke, only Olga now. And it's gonna be basically up to Wildjack to try to peek and get that frag. I really hope Rap doesn't get too cocky and push and pick on that big door, because he's gonna get headshot 100% if he peeks. Uber is actually gonna be traded onto Ekelund and Raf. Each player is getting Uber, and nothing really happens with that. It's gonna be probably just a reset. The Glassry is holding onto that lower lobby in case someone wants to go there. And look at that choke. Nobody's really watching that. And again, if they were able to see through wall, they could have pushed here.
Yeah, I think the idea was to just push onto Karnex, who took 100 damage. Second Uber came out, and again, people take a lot of damage. They want to capitalize off of this, but Ekelund can't hit the shots in time. Will go down, everybody rotates to Victor. This time, Neon tries to push, gets Olga with a nice sticky there, makes a lot of space. Deli disconnected from the rest of the team. Neon tries to push him out, maybe get the kill, can't quite. Neon and Toast die at the same time, but it's
oh no, Glassry
so wide
dropped
open.
Onto the ground.
They tried to get so many kills there, but they just can't key anything up on Disney Fangirls.
What is they doing? Oh, again, slight miscommunication. You could have stayed here, and with the help of Glacier, they would completely have crushed the hopes and ambitions of professional Disney Fangirls. But because the Deli was out while Wildjack gets a shot in the head of Olga, there's a sizable Uber ad, and it looks like they're aware of that. Look at that Uber onto Raf from Ekelund, completely blasted the French Demoman into thin air, and now they have used that Uber to take position onto the second point. They will probably want to stay outside because they have a sniper, and Deli is going to have the Uber of his own. But really well read here from Ekelund. I think he was a bit too eager to push last time, but this one was perfect on the timing. And now they actually want to hold into lobby, even though they have a sizable Uber, as he said.
Yeah, and last time they already played once of the advantage purely on the French end. Not early though, and can't catch anything in the lobby 50% before they even see anybody, and those they see just escape to mid relatively easily, and it's just gonna end in a big old leapfrog scenario. CJ almost has. They still have the sniper, which doesn't help in this sort of uber advantage situation too much, unless he just finds the kill before it even happens with the push. But as it stands, it's just an easy time for CJ and Co to get the point back easily. It's just a matter of will they have to use here. And that will make all the difference. If they do have to use, then it's so much safer on last.
Bomb is coming from Glastry, but he got airshot by calling, and the push, that bomb was to no avail. And he wasted a bit of time, but still 40% out for CJ. And I believe Professional Fangirls will want to be on the move quickly. Yes, they're taking that Uber main onto Ekelund and Neon. Ekelund actually going straight under, but he got cleaned up by some stickies. And that's a bit unfortunate here. The cap time, a lot of cap time from calling, and now Neon is pushing himself. He's getting cleaned up in CJ. 2 people under, the 2 remaining players are under. The Uber has been used by Deli. I don't. CJ is actually trying to take a one-on-one onto Olga. He dies, but yeah, a bit unfortunate that Deli used that Uber. But in the end, they secure that position. That they need to be quick to second point if they want to take it without much trouble. They denied that push onto Big Door, but now Neon is coming. He's leading that charge. Can't really do anything with that, and they are pushing back onto the, pulling back onto the middle because CJ was still there. There were no heals, and Deli has just 60% Uber ride, and I feel like that push fail was really unfortunate. I think a rocket pushed the sticky onto Ekelund, and that's why he died. So that was a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think the advantage actually was kind of bad for them in the end. Sure, they had it, but it was 20%. It wasn't a lot. They knew they had to play quick, and they had to rush it in the end. Everybody just went to the point quickly and just let the people dying, Deli hopping in their face in the end. And leads to this huge advantage situation now. 40% still by the time they start walking in, and they still don't get forced. Deli takes a lot of damage, but they force people back relatively nice. Wheeljack is spotted early as well, so more likely than not, Deli will stay safe here as long as they find clean up quickly, and they do. Toast can't follow up on any of that as well. Quick taken care of this middle point. CJ gets eventually, they still have a pick to work off, which isn't a whole lot, but you can at least make some sort of sack. That is.
Glastry falls Uber, then went behind. That's a classic play that we see really often now, but can he get any frags? He's on the lower lobby, he gets cleaned up by calling, and in the meantime the Uber was just straight in onto choke while with nothing really happening, but Glastry dying maybe is the opportunity. PDF is looking to push back onto the middle, and looks like they want to take it. Eklund and Calling are trying to go on Big Door with the help of Neon. Deli actually died from the, I think Diljack was in choke and pushed back right when Calling was jumping and got that frag, and the 2 scouts from the French are back capping. Will that be enough? I think everyone from Disney Faculty contesting Karnak most Ekelund, and they pull back, and they're taking so much time back on the clock for their team, because now Deli is up. They will be able to build a bit of that Uber. Don't really want to die now. Karnak does, and Alien as well. Market Gardener coming from Glastry onto Calling, but in the end they bled more than anything, and they will have to give up that middle point.
Yeah, big advantage on top of that as well for CJ staying alive despite all of the damage coming in. Olga is still hiding. They have a lot of cap line on second, but he basically has to opt to chase the medic kill here more than the backup right now. He will actually just try to get out at a small opportunity, but he will get caught either way.
Oh, they're gonna get caught. They're gonna get caught. Deli's on top of the point. He's getting completely denied by Ekelund and the bomb from Diljack. They were so slow. I don't know why they linger on for that long onto choke, but Deli was just spamming arrows. Extremely questionable here, and it could be mean around for professional Disney Fangirls. There's this gun, level 1 onto last for the Frenchies. Ekelund dies, but it's still a 5v4 without heals onto the French side. But that gun is denying a bit. Now there's a heavy and a beam and Olga. This is it. Push is aborted, and slight miscommunication here, and in the end it's really slight tight ad for CJ, and with Viljack that I'm more expecting an off class more than a regular push, but he's actually going on soldiers, so I guess I'm just talking bollocks.
Well, we had a small ad push before, it was about 20%. It's
they built better,
slightly
actually.
better than last time, so it's a bit better of an opportunity than we've seen before, but it's still pretty tight, and they want to rotate all the way through river, which wastes a lot of time. 50% as we speak. It's almost just an exchange at this point. If Daddy just stays alive and spawns for a little bit, Uber flies over the point. This time, 2 scouts chasing down the demo, and we'll get that early, but the Uber comes out from Daddy and spawn. They just need to kite as well, but they lose a scout and a demo, and there we go. Toast under the point dice as well. They get Ghastly for good measure, but it's 2 for 3. Not ultimately worth it. Calling Honey in the caller, but they knew about that. Olga jumps in perfectly, and Vilcek stuck in a fight that's ultimately losing one. And we go once again, the tight ad situation not quite working out for Disney Fangirls.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I expected. That Uber ad was slightly too small to push on it, and that Uber build was efficient onto Delhi, so that's why it didn't really work out. And that's another small Uber ad. This time for the Frenchman, it's only 20%, and Vilcek dies actually to wrap onto choke. Maybe this is enough to push onto big door and try to take space. This is actually what they want to do. Nobody here, only Nanax is watching the flank, and they try to go in dry without using. There's no stickies. The double bomb is coming from Olga and Glashry onto Toast, who has to give up position. And this could be exactly what the Frenchmen need to take that space. The position is not really good. Uber is used extremely early by CJ, while Delhi doesn't have to use the Uber. Vilcek dies as well, and it's only Alien missing for the Frenchies. And it could be a really good Uber now if they decide to use it. But oh, that is, the both stickies from Neon completely busted into the air. I think that's Olga, yeah, and Raph, and that Uber was completely nullified by 2 stickies from Neon, completely nullified that push. And this is a real mess now, because Delhi is on his own. Big Door is getting held by a scout, but he's extremely weak. And this is incredible how 2 stickies can completely destroy an Uber push.
Yeah, so much better for Disney Fangirls, and they get so much momentum out of this. They don't just defend middle. They get second, they get momentum into last. Demo not being up. The point is quite open. Calling just on a Neon with the sticks, just on cleanup duty for the soldier on the point. And there we go. Finally, Disney Fangirls, after so much work being done, tie it back up.
But I think that was a series of misplay here for the Frenchies, and I think holding that Uber was fine, but at some point you need to either use it better or just go back and recycle the position. But yeah, that's a 1-1. I feel like Professional Disney Fangirls got back into that game. They have better momentum right now. Ekelon is trying to be aggressive onto Raph, who has no help. The double bomb is coming once more from Glashry and Olga, but they damage a lot of people, but nobody cleans up the frag. Everybody's weak onto Professional Disney Fangirls. They were all in red health, and they're being pulled back into that choke, but the Frenchies were not really able to take any ground with that situation, and it could be a reset. Nanax might be extremely weak, he might die if he doesn't, and again, the blob
Big
for
fight by
Professional
Leon,
Disney
just pipes
Fangirls.
across the point.
Yeah,
They can suddenly
with that.
refight this for no reason. They just need a pipe. And this is all looking different. Olga gets a nice arrow there to stay alive, but they're just being slowly pushed back. And like you mentioned, they just needed to take space a lot quicker than they ended up doing. Spawns are coming in. Both scouts are Disney Fangirls back on the field. Last with the jump from flank, gets the jump onto CJ. This is important because Delhi is under no pressure, so people are going weak around him. He is not trouble keeping them alive. Calling jumps in. They just use in for good measure to clean up some kills. He get Calling with that. Neon chased by Alien on Big Door. They get some nice kills with that. Vilcek weak behind them as well. But again, they just struggle to take space here consistently at all. And it takes so long for them to do anything. Both scouts on Disney Fangirls trying to push across, but only getting 1 kill for their troubles. Bit too keen there for Disney Fangirls, and eventually this mid fight will go to the French side.
Yeah, and they're pretty lucky to have this, I believe, because that blob at the start of the mid for Professional Disney Fangirls was extremely efficient, because they were all weak, but nobody really died, and the Frenchmen didn't really take that opportunity to get ground. Raph is already through choke, he's running bomb, but the bomb doesn't really accomplish anything, and now it's going to be basically an even team fight. Delhi launched into the air, gets cleaned up by Calling actually, and Raph dies as well, and that was kind of a bad idea here to dry push on that choke, because you can get bombed so easily, and this is what Neon and Calling did extremely well. And now the backup is, Alien is actually on the backup, but he's alone, and there's nothing he can do, and basically all he did is giving his position away.
Yeah, really unfortunate though for Disney Fangirls that in the midst of that chaos, Glassby did find a jump onto CJ. Means he will die, not too much momentum out of that. Alien is still behind, hit from the spawners after that as well. could be key if they'd opt to do anything here, but without any sort of advantage, it's just hard to make a play as the lonely scout behind, besides just being annoying. The best he can hope for is baiting a bad fight, and he just wants to take 1v1, but he's the one losing it. Vilch spawning now from forwards as well, can just head out toast if the fight goes bad, and that's just this fight over already. One pick going quickly to Disney Fangirls in an even situation. Could lead to the sank, could lead to the play, but no, it's just Glassby making the play instead.
But it's gonna get cleaned up maybe. Yeah, the push is coming onto Victor for Professional Disney Fangirls. They're just piling up rockets after rockets. Wheeljack is extremely weak. He gets arrowed by CJ and can leave unscathed and somehow leaves that situation. And Neon is alone choke trying to spam. And I like that attempt from Professional Disney Fangirls. They tried to be aggressive and take space if they could, but they realized they could not. And they just left without much casualties, and now it's going to be another reset. 4 minutes left, so it's now we are in the moment where time is really valuable. You don't really want to mess up, because if you mess up, that might as well mean the end of the map and the possible loss. So they have to be careful. I see all the heals, only Olga is on the choke, so it's going to be maybe an opportunity here to push. But we know that Nick is not really eager to push alone on the choke unless his team is actually being applying pressure onto Victor. So basically now up to Professional Disney Fangirls to do something, Dom. And what do you think? What do you want to see now?
I definitely don't want to see what they did the first time around they tried this, which is just this huge amount of mess that they created. This time it's an attempt by Vilcek to just jump through drop down, surprisingly enough. Interesting jump, and I don't think that's the best idea. Sure, choke is littered with stickies, but it's so much easier to clean them than to awkwardly try to strafe through drop down instead. Olga doing it the other way around, just hopping down there and trying to jump, tries to find an opening, but there's scouts checking him, there's people all around CJ, and he won't get much out of this. Tries to leave, but Neon has sticks ready for that, will get taken down. And speaking of measures to deal with the stalemate, Spy is back on the table. This time it's Vilcek though, instead of Sniper. He's opting for Spy this time.
And when there's only 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you have to expect it. You can't be surprised by a Spy now. And especially the way they play, they already are playing, Professional Disney Fangirls are playing pressure onto that big door. Raph rotated, and Wheeljack is actually walking towards Deli too. Deli turns around, but somehow, somewhere, Raph died because he wasn't aware the Spy was behind. And yes, Wheeljack died, but Demo pick is so good right now for Professional Disney Fangirls. They rotated to choke, they try to take position. The bomb, really good bomb here from Olga, forcing the Uber really early. And Deli has to use the Uber of his own. They can clean up Neon, maybe, but only, it was only one soldier onto that Uber, while Neon was really point blank for scouts to kill him. So I don't know, the bomb again, recycle positioning onto Big Door, and they trade frags one after the other. The bomb is coming from Wheeljack. Neon died, both medics are alive. It's now a 2v2
How much
again.
longer Deli on the beam? Or against the beam, Scout Toast tries desperately, actually just opts to melee attack once, then reload and actually clean him up. A little bit cocky there by the Scout, but it will work in the end. Olga not fast enough, and it was a bit messy. The Frenchies anticipate the repush through Big Door really well, but they just didn't have quite the numbers. If they didn't have a number disadvantage in all of this, it might have worked, but Disney Fangirls wisely took a fight where they had one more player on the field and were able to win it just barely and getting the medic in the end.
Okay, I think it's time to hype it up, because yeah, you mentioned it's only 1 minute and they're basically pushing for ticket into the finals. There's a gun for the Frenchman, but there's a 70% Uber rate for Professional Disney Fangirls. They basically have a one-time opportunity here to push. They get the gun extremely early. They use the Uber to riverside onto 2 scouts. Both of them are rushing Raph under the point. One died to sticky from Raph. The Pyro denies the Uber, but Neon again pulls out so much. Look at the cap is happening. The play for Neon and the 2 scouts was extremely well made, because they completely denied everything. The Pyro was pretty much useless, and that's it. Professional Disney Fangirls, they take that second map 2-1. 30 seconds left on the timer. This is not enough for the Frenchmen to come back, and they are gonna lose this. They're getting knocked out, and the Professional Disney Fangirls, they're making their way to the finals.
Yeah, what a game in the end. Pretty one-sided affair on the first map, and then a really, really close one on the second one. And you mentioned pretty much everyone else besides calling on the last push. Then he jumped a point really nicely there, took a fight with Olga in the tube up mid-air, hit the air shot, knocked him down, and dropped down on the point to clean up the rest of the people. So he also did some beautiful work there on the final push to win this game. And yeah, like you said, Disney Fangirls will make it back into grand finals for the rematch against the fear is the third time they will play them this season after the upper bracket game against them. And that's where it will all matter. It doesn't matter if they lost to them twice. If they can win that one, that's what they want. And if not for anything else, they've shown that they can adapt in this game. They were starting on the back foot for the longest time, but they slowly worked their way back this entire second half of Gully Wash to make it a 2-1 victory for them.
Yeah, they show both a lot of aggression, and they knew when to be more cautious at some point. So I think that they showed pretty much everything that needs to be shown to win that kind of game. And because I don't think we mentioned that, but the Div 1 winner is going into Prem next season. So it's not only about the medal. There's more at stake than just a Div 1 crown. There's a spot in Prem. So they both, all these teams, they need to show that they are able to measure up to these better teams on paper. And I feel like that second map you mentioned was a bit closer, but yeah, they managed to show different things. We're going to take a look at the logs, and the main difference that I see is that the frags are more evenly split between the two teams, and this is pretty much what was lacking for the Frenchmen on the first map, that they weren't able to finish up the frags, and they were able to do that on that second map, and this is why it was a lot closer.
Yeah, for sure. It was a nail-biter in the end. This time, actually a bit surprising that Ekelund was not leading too much. Wait, oh no, I'm confusing names right now because they use different names here than I have on my screen. So yeah, Ekelund actually not that much of a leading charge damage-wise. Probably still would let fights quite a bit, but didn't get quite as much damage in this time. Glassry surprisingly high damage coming out of him as a roamer, doing a lot of work on the flank. I can remember a few instances where he was just taking fights on the flank with people really aggressively, and it actually worked in his favor quite a bit. So for how passive they played at times, those random fights were working for them every once in a while.
Yeah, pretty. These numbers just show how that game was close, and medics have the same number of deaths.
But again, deaths after charge, major advantages lost. That's the things you don't want to see on your medic stacks, and CJ has none of that.
Oh yeah,
which is great. But again, for Delhi, it's just these sort of mistakes slip every once in a while, and to specify a bit more for people unaware, deaths after charge means most of the time anyway that when you go for exchanges, that you just don't survive them as the medic in the end, and especially if you're the one initiating, that you can't afford that. Your team wants to get momentum out of that and make you die on your own exchange. It just puts yourself on such a huge disadvantage on a play you wanted to make happen, and at the same time, major advantages loss is just not pushing off of things quickly enough. And much like last map, happened every once in a while here. It just costs you opportunities when you let these slip.
Yeah, and we can see CJ has more Ubers than Delhi, so there's just raw difference. Is that?
And again, I mean, you have to give props to both teams for actually playing really well around the medics. Last time they didn't die too much for what was a relatively one-sided game. Again, really low deaths on the medic, so at least that was working really well on both sides. 6 deaths isn't a lot, and it's a tight affair there as much as everything else is really close as well. So that was worked really well, but how you do or what you do with those lives you preserve on your medics when in other games they might die is really, really important, and it worked much better for these Fangirls.
Yep, pretty much how you said. I see two players onto the interview channel that I'm gonna bring here. We welcome CJ and Toast when I have unmuted them so they can speak and we can hear them. You did that for me, thank you. So welcome CJ, welcome Toast. Congratulations, you took that ticket for the finals, and I'm gonna start with a very basic question, but how are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good. I think we played a lot better than we did the other day when we felt like we lost and we deserved to lose on the day, but we lost because we played really badly. And I think today, the games were kind of close, especially Gully, but we played a lot better. So we're pretty pleased that we're kind of getting back to how we were playing during the main season.
We see that first map was really dominant for you guys, and the one thing that we highlighted was the way you play a lot around Eklund and Neon. Like you don't really care about that pocket soldier role, and you play a lot, like you CJ, you follow around Eklund a lot. We've seen a lot of heals pumped into him. Is that the way you usually play, trying to be that fast play style where the medic and the scout just move across pretty quickly?
Pretty much. I mean, like the past kind of year, we had a slightly different lineup. We used to play with Yak on demo, and he took a lot of the heals. So he kind of played a much slower play style, I guess. And since Eklund's joined and Neon, like Viljak doesn't require a lot of heals as a pocket soldier. So sometimes in the logs, you see Coling actually gets a lot more because he comes in some of the pushes. We just kind of play it whoever's closest when we want to do things. But 90% of the time, it's definitely Eklund. He's the main caller. He's the guy who's like saying what to do. So yeah, I mean, we like to play that way. We just kind of beam Eklund, and where I can, like get Toast in as well. And the soldiers kind of just do their own thing. And it's worked out pretty well for us so far this season.
And let's bring into Toast as well. You're playing that more role where you play the off classes, the utility classes. We've seen a lot of spy from you, Toast, and was that something? We know when we play playoff, there's a bit more tension, more at stake. And did you expect maybe the Frenchman not to expect you as a spy? Was there something behind, or was just you felt the spy was the good situation in this, the good play in these situations?
It usually works pretty well, so we thought we'd try it out. It's something that usually works for us. But they did notice, so it worked. It didn't work as well as we'd hoped, but sometimes we did get the drop on a medic or a force or whatever. So it did work fine.
The way you play is actually, when you're on spy, or I think at some point Viljak plays spy as well, you guys seem really coordinated when you do that, because you actually make that distraction. We see a lot of teams who basically wait for their spy to do something, whereas you guys are really trying to make something happen. Meanwhile, the spy is there. So is there a special, like that's actually something you're working on when you play scrims?
Yeah, so as soon as we know that they're looking for me, or Viljak, a spy, then we have to bring in a soldier or a scout into it to make the play work, because I'm never going to get anything if they know I'm a spy, because they're constantly just going to be spy checking with off classes and so on. So you really have to bring in another class at that point.
I have to bring in the H word there, Ombrack. Like it's all about the Highlander, you know.
I didn't want to highlight that too much because I want to give you guys the sixes
no, totally.
frame as well.
But like for like other seasons, like we've played Highlander, like Toast knows when to go for the plays and he waits for the distractions. I think that's a big thing where Viljak and Toast, they've played a lot of spy, so they know to go for kind of the players who are distracted, and we know to kind of help them achieve that rather than just sitting there and waiting for them to do something. So we try to do that with Sniper as well. Like Eklund and Viljak can both snipe very well. So it's nice to have people who are able to off-class.
And let's go on Guild So you won Granary fairly easily, and did you expect Guild to be that close? Because we saw the French team really turning things around, taking the lead. I don't know how you guys felt when you were 1-0 down. Is that something you're used to be behind on the scoreline? Did it rush a bit the way you play, or did you just felt confident as ever and played the way you used to play?
So I don't think if we expected one map to be tough, we probably expected Granary to be tough. When it turned out it didn't, I think we might have, I don't know, got out of rhythm a bit for the second map. So they got a lead, and then we kind of had to use around 15 minutes to get our act together and actually put around. So it turned out to be really close, and they played a lot better on the second map, I felt. So it's a lot harder to string rounds together.
Dom, I don't know if you have any question to ask our guests.
Not specifically about this game, just, next game will be Grand Finals with a map pick disadvantage. You played Furious 2 times before, both times on the same maps, with similar outcomes, at least final scoreline wise. And yeah, it's the last match of the season. It will be important. Anything that you learned from the past few experiences with the Furious that will help going into the Grand Finals to finally overcome them, maybe?
I think like we've played them at kind of awkward positions in the season. Like we played them in week 1, where we'd essentially just thrown our roster together because Eklund had only just joined us, and we were still getting used to playing a different style with newer players. So we weren't ready. And when we played them last week, we kind of lost a bit of our mojo, I guess. You know, there was 2 teams that quit the season, and there was a lot of bye weeks, so we kind of lost a bit of our rhythm. During the season, we were able to beat the Theorists like 5-0 on a lot of the maps, and we were winning most of our scrims, so we know we have it in us to beat them. So it's just about us putting that into an official and doing that in the final. So we totally know that it's possible for us to win. It's not like we're looking at this as an unbeatable task. We just need to get our heads in the game and kind of look what went wrong the other day, and kind of think, okay, what can we do that's not going to happen again? I'm not sure what the maps are, and map pick disadvantage. We're happy to play any map at this point, so we'll just see what happens.
Well, it will at least help the viewers, maybe if they have like a particular weak map to get it out of the way. But either way, with that attitude, it's gonna be hopefully another good match. I remember Granary from the other day, and that was certainly a close one towards the end. So I hope to see more of that between the 2 of you, and also that the game gets scheduled when there isn't 20 other games going at the same time, so we can have the time on TeamTV to cover that as well.
So I guess we're good. I don't have any more questions myself. So we'll take that to shoutouts. CJ, you're top of the list, so you'll go first.
Okay, I need to do a massive shout out to Jon for his absolute quality memes that he has been creating, Lord of the Rings memes regarding the Div 1 teams. Our team has been enjoying them, and it's been motivating us. So thank you to him, and of course to the team for playing really well today, as always. And yeah, thanks to you guys for casting.
Toast, do you have any shoutouts yourself?
Yeah, shout out to the team, and then for you guys for the production. It's good shit.
Dom, do you have any shoutouts?
Shoutouts to Spy Boys for forcing me to play Open Highlander, and
Highlander.
basically it.
I'll go myself. So shout out to both teams for playing. Shout out to Console for filling in really short notice and actually making that game possible. When it was 9:15, I don't think we were. I thought we wouldn't be able to cast it. So it was nice to see it happen eventually. So shout out to all the people involved in production in TFTV. Shout out to Chad. Shout out to Ombrack who beat me yesterday and basically freed my schedule so I could cast this game. So thanks to that. Console has some shout out as well that I'm going to read out loud. So shout out to Gem for allowing the Console EU production redemption arc, and Console hopes to produce more EU games now that his sleep schedule is fixed. So yeah, that was Division 1 lower bracket finals between professional Disney Fangirls and Frenchmen. I'm not going to say that name again. CJ's team, as I call them throughout this cast, they won 6-0 on Granary, and on Gulewash we'll see them against the Theorists on the Div 1 final, and the ticket to Prem for next season is at stake, so you might as well want to stay tuned and see what happens in the next few days. I've been Ombrack, I've been joined with DmMmTm and Console, and we'll see you next time.